Welcome to All Waves Considered. I'm your host, Keith Sims.
And I'm Julius Spicciani. We're talking about Keith Sims, his surfing, his long surfing career and shaping career. We randomly met on a day. I'm trying to remember when was that footage? I'm gonna have to pull it up.
Day before Valentine's, February 13.
Yep. So Keith was in town for your dad's birthday. Is that what it was?
Yep. That's when I knew what day it was.
Yeah. He lucked into a beautiful surf day, and I was able to meet with you and chat with you. And I'd been friends with you on Instagram for a while, so you were on my radar. In fact,
always nice to meet somebody in person.
Exactly. Yeah, and I feel like I said something about like Fat Cat Surfboards or something, or maybe because you had one, and you're like, "I'm Keith Sims."
I think you saw my board when I was pulling it out.
Yeah, and I'm like, "Oh, cool."
Like, yeah, that's me. I shaped these.
Yeah. I would love to start at whatever the beginning is for you. How far back do you go in Pensacola?
As far as you can go.
Yeah.
I was born in Pensacola.
Uh-huh.
Let's see, was it Baptist Hospital? Yeah, Baptist Hospital.
Okay, dig it.
Interesting note there. Me and Sean Fell have the same birthday, same hospital, same day. Like our moms are probably yelling at each other in there.
That's great. Of Waterboys.
So that's a Pensacola tidbit.
Wow. Okay. Nice. Okay, so you grow up in Pensacola. What is it like? What is your upbringing like? I know your mom's still around.
Mom and dad are still alive. They've been divorced since I was like 4 or 5. So
okay.
I've had the privilege of growing up in 2 different families at the same time. So one side was always super military officer side, so I kind of grew up on the rich life. Mm-hmm. And then staying with dad, I was kept grounded. He's just a normal blue-collar worker.
Yeah.
Electrician, lives in Pensacola. He's been there his whole life. Mm-hmm. Except for when he was in the military.
Gotcha. Yeah. My partner, she has 2 kids. She left her now ex-husband. They're 5 and 7. And I'm wondering, like, when's the best age for 2 parents to split up? Like, obviously, it's not ideal. But I'm like, there's probably better times than not.
Probably around the age I was, like just starting school and, so you got stuff to focus on and the parents can get back to working and living and doing whatever they're doing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I wouldn't trade it. I mean, yeah, it'd be great if mom and dad were still together, but I can see they would never last.
Yeah. It was
so
better
it's probably
for everyone.
A good thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it worked out in my favor. Mm-hmm. And it gave me the options to travel the world because my mom's family was all military. Mm. So every 3 years they were someplace different. So I always got to go someplace different.
Mm-hmm. Wow. So
that's the travel bug right there. That works out good for surfing.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah. Yes. Travelers and surfers, we go together, don't we? Mm-hmm. Especially in the summertime in Pensacola. And what's some of your first Pensacola memories?
There's so many. I grew up there. A lot of my family's there. Grandparents were there. So both of my sides of the families, my grandparents, my granddad had fish camps. So I grew up on the river.
Oh, wow.
Scambia and Blackwater. Mm-hmm. So I easily could have been a full-on redneck. Yep. I got the genetics for it. But I took that path and said, hey, you want to go surfing instead? I made that choice. It's like you could do this or you can do that. And I was like, I'm going surfing.
Pensacola at that time already had an established surf community. What was that like?
Yeah, the old guys were already there. Mm-hmm. My mom worked at the Howard Johnson's back then on Pensacola Beach? Mm-hmm. She was a cocktail waitress there when I was a little kid. So I grew up in the sand there right on the Gulf. Wow. So one of the original 3-mile bridges, my granddad built that.
Okay. Yeah.
Like he worked on that. So, I mean, there's a lot of ties there.
That's amazing. I love that. Okay, so you're a beach baby. Like there was no...
Oh, yeah.
And what's your first surf memories? How do you think you got sucked in that? Obviously, you were there, proximity.
Probably Hurricane Frederick.
Okay.
I don't even remember what year that was. That was so long ago. Mm-hmm. But we were ready for Freddie. And I remember borrowing a board and trying to get out to the whitewater and get my ass handed to me. And it was great. That started it probably right there. Mm-hmm. Plus, I knew people that surfed. Older stepbrothers and cousins. And, they'd surfed. And it just always looked cool. And I was like, well, I can do that. I want to be cool.
Yeah. And, okay. So Sean is kind of in your cohort. Who else was in like your cohort? Who was that? What was that group as you were developing as a surfer?
Oh, I really didn't even meet Sean till years later.
Okay. That's funny.
I had no idea. We went on a board delivery trip, probably in the late 90s. And, we're riding around the van, we're talking. And he's like, what year were you born? Where were you born? Blah, blah, blah. And it worked out that we had all that connection and we didn't even know it.
That's great.
Because I worked for the competition. I worked for Steve Stack when Sean was Waterboys.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
There was no reason to get close until later on when I moved to Tampa and I was actually repping some Water Boys product, clothing and some boards.
Yep. That's cool.
Somewhere in the 90s, somewhere in there.
So what was your surf group of friends, or who were the people that you think about when you were first getting on the scene?
Let's see. A lot of guys from Woodham, back when it used to be a high school. I went to Escambia, I went to Woodham, I went to Pine Forest. I think Pine Forest was the last school I went to. Mm-hmm. And I had lots of surf friends there. And that's when I started doing ESA and high school surf contest, all that stuff.
Started going deeper.
I loved competing. It was really fun.
Yeah.
And that's also the same time I started running to the East Coast when the surf was good, making these trips because we all had our first cars and gas was cheap. And, 7-hour drive, you're on the East Coast.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, it was super cheap back then, like $20 to go there and back.
Yeah.
But
even with inflation, you're
gas
doing
was
okay.
65 cents a gallon.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Different time period. Yeah. Okay. So you told me you were in high school in the 80s?
Yeah, I think 85, 86 was my last hurrah there in high school. I had moved back from Europe and they changed the credits around. I was supposed to be originally class 85.
Okay. So
and they're like, oh, we got more credits, you guys. So I was like, okay, I'll go another 6 months and get the credits. Yep. So I did that and they moved them again.
Jesus.
It was up to it went from 18 to 22 to 24. It's like I couldn't catch up. They kept moving them.
Yeah.
And finally I was like, screw this. I just went and took my GED and got out.
Yeah. Okay.
Got accepted into college right then. Aced it.
That's cool. And so you were in Europe because of your mom's side of the family?
Yeah. Her husband was military.
Gotcha. Yeah.
It was great living there. 16, 17 years old in Europe. You can drink, you can do anything you want to do. You can surf all these waves. The only problem is we didn't know about all these waves.
Yeah. Yep. What country were you in?
I was in Spain.
No kidding.
And
okay.
We didn't even know Mundaka existed. I could have got there for $15 if I'd known it was there.
Yeah.
But the internet wasn't around. It was, you saw stuff in a surf magazine every 3 months when it came out. And,
yep.
So you had to keep up that way.
Okay.
There wasn't even call up surf reports then.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So you're fresh back in the States. You've got your GED. You're going in. You're in college. Where did you go? Did you go to college at Pensacola?
I signed up at PJC originally, like everybody else does.
Yeah.
And it just wasn't working out for me. So I went to a technical school, CTI, for AutoCAD. And I aced that. It was a 2-year course, and I was up in 14 months.
Wow. Okay.
And I got hired by one of the companies that I practiced interviewed with.
Nice. The practice interview. That's great.
They're like, here, go to these companies and do some practice interviews and, select from these. And one of them's like, hey, when can you start?
Yeah.
So I postponed my trip to Mexico and and went to work, cut all my hair off, put my pocket protector in, and I went in and I was a nerd. Got hired by Sikorsky, which at the time, they were a military defense contractor.
Yeah, helicopters. I know them for. Yeah.
Blackhawks, H-53s, Pavlovs, ultralights, all the badass military copters.
Yeah.
Apaches. That was all them.
Were you able to maintain a surf work-life balance while you had your pocket protector in? For a couple of years, I was. For a couple of years. Yeah.
Like most surfers do, I figured out the schedule and how much time I can miss and when I could come in late. And I learned about flex time. Like there, you can come in between 7 and 9:30 and leave between 3 and 5:30.
Yep.
So if the surf was good, I go surf in the morning. I get there about 9:30 or 10.
Yep.
I spend 2 hours in the camera room taking a nap, then do all my work after lunch and leave at 5:30.
Yeah. Heck yeah.
So once you figure out the system, there's ways to get around it, especially if you're smart and you know what you're doing.
Okay, so you have this I'm assuming reasonably good job. You're able to surf. So how do you not just keep going down that path? How does
I got laid off.
Okay, classic. Okay, yep. A plot development. Keith gets laid off. Tell me more.
It's nothing new. I mean, I've been laid off or quit so many jobs. It's like when I was in high school, I worked in restaurants.
Yep.
And I ended up working in restaurants on and off for 30 years. And that always supported my surfing. So
yep.
If I lost a job, it's like, no problem. I'll go cook.
Yeah.
Or, And then I moved up into management. And then it was like, I just want to do dishes. Just give me something easy with no stress.
Yeah.
So I don't have to be here all the time. I don't want to be salary.
Yeah.
But I did make a lot of money working with some restaurants. Like I was with Carrabba's. I was with them over 9 years.
Wow, no kidding.
I was actually an opener, and I'd travel around the country and go open up stores when they open new ones. And I'd make a shitload of money doing that.
And then take a break.
And then take 2 weeks off, go to Costa Rica or whatever.
That's awesome.
Then eventually make it my way back to my original store. That was a good, I started with those guys in Tampa. And when I moved to the East Coast, it was like, hey, you can go here or you can go here. And it was January. It's like, I don't want to go to St. Augustine. It's 50 degrees.
Yeah.
So I went to Cocoa Beach or Merritt Island, which is right next to it. And I was like, it's sunny and 75 and the water's 70. And it's like, that's where I'm going.
Is this after you started shaping in Pensacola?
I started shaping in high school. I did my first board in high school.
Okay.
And then I didn't do it for a while.
Yeah.
And then I got a chance to work with Steve and Tom Stack because I was working at Hudson Surf Shop, another Interlight competitor.
Yep.
Back in the day. I would sell shitloads of surfboards there. And I was trying to get my foot in the door at the factory, and I was like, well, I can come airbrush because I got an art background.
Yeah.
That's how I got my way into the factory to begin with. Instead of just doing my own boards, I'd go in and airbrush. I'd take custom orders and put my name Airbrush by me on there.
Yeah.
And then, of course, once you get in the factory and they see you're not an idiot, it's like, hey, so-and-so didn't show up. You want to learn how to sand today?
Yeah.
Sure, why not? Want to learn how to put fins on? No problem.
And who was working in the shop at that time?
We went through a lot of people, but some of the bigger names were, of course, Steve and Tom Stack, the brothers. Steve Forestall was there.
Yep, that's right. Okay.
Ken White. Ken White was there. And him and Steve Forestall, they went on to be, their own legends in their own field. Like Ken's up in St. Augustine doing really well, and Stevie just finally retired.
Yeah.
About 2 years ago.
Yeah, we were talking about that earlier. I've always wanted a Steve Forestall board. I've heard so many good things about them.
They're good boards.
Yeah, and you have templates.
Yep, and I've worked on a lot of his boards, so people are like, man, this looks just like it. And I'm like, well, I've only worked on a couple 100,000 of them.
Yeah.
They ought to look right. See, he's one of my mentors.
Starting to get pedigree at these shops. This is kind of jumping outside of this chronological progression that we're on. But when I think about a shaper, I have so little context, and you have so much context. You've worked with so many shapers. You have your own designs. I'm curious, like, I don't even know how to put this into words, but like, what is that like as you develop as a shaper, as you're also a surfer, as you're also trying to help these other surfers find the right boards? What does that journey look like for you?
It means you surf less.
Yeah.
That's all I can say about that. Well, I never wanted to be just a shaper.
Yeah. I
wanted to be able to do any job in the factory at any time. And that's one thing that got driven in when I worked for Ricky Carroll.
Yeah.
I was there for, 8 or 9 years working with Ricky. And we had tons of great people coming in and out of there and different shapers. And there's a lot to learn. If you step back and learn it, it's there.
Yeah.
And I don't know.
Yeah. So you're a one-man show. You're a glasser. You're a shaper. Apparently, if someone asked you to airbrush, maybe you could do it. I'm
pretty good with paint.
Yeah.
Yeah. I go back. Art is my original thing. That's how what got me in a factory to begin with was airbrushing. And I'm not even the best airbrusher, but I can make it look good.
Yeah.
I never claim to be the best. I do some cool stuff. Just like everything I do, I'm not the best at it, but I'm pretty damn good.
Yeah. That's what's up. Yeah. Well, you've had plenty of time to practice.
Yeah. Now I've had my own factory for 9 years. January was 9 years I've been here. Been pumping it out ever since. Just
from reflex, you start to take on some of the design choices of the people that you're shaping for?
I do.
The first time I heard your name, Mike Hayes was talking about Fat Cat Surfboards and Keith, and he was telling me this story where he wanted to have a longboard shaped. I think this is how the story goes. And he wanted it based off a certain longboard. And you're like, hey, why don't I make you my shape? I have a great shape. And he's like, no, I want this shape. And so anyway, as he was waiting for the board, you let him take out your longboard or something. And he's like, oh, this one's great. And you're like, yeah, I know. Why didn't you let me shape it? It's always better if they will let you just make a board for them. Yeah. It sounds so cliche, like some old shaper dude's like, let me just make you a board. Yeah. I'll give you what I think you need, not what you think you need. Yeah. Do you have relationships with people that maybe you've shaped their board for 5 years or something and you get to see? Oh, yeah.
Some of my best friends here, I've been making their boards for 15 plus years. Like one of my main team rider guys, Dave Miller from Honey Miller, he's been riding my longboards at least 15 years, if not longer.
That's cool.
Him in 2004, 2003.
Yeah.
2004 is when we had all the hurricanes hit us like one after another for like 2 months straight. Like Charlie, Gene, Francis. There was a couple other ones. It was like nonstop.
Yeah.
But we had such a good surf community in Cocoa Beach. I lived at 13th Street, and that is the mecca of Cocoa Beach at that time. 4 or 5 shapers within 2 blocks.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and I've worked on and off with each of them, and I've learned from most of them. Like everybody I've worked with, any shaper or glasser or sander, I tried to learn something from each one.
Yeah.
And take that and mix it with what I already know and come out with a nice result. Like there's very few people I've looked at and worked with that I didn't learn something. Sometimes it's humbling.
Being open to being humbled seems so important in life, and a lot of times my ego will pop up and block me from learning things.
True. Well, case in point, I went and did some work for Greg Geiselman up in Edgewater. Yep. Greg is a former pro champion, East Coast guy. He's been shaping boards for 20, 30 years. You know, his kids are on the pro tour, or were. I don't know if they are anymore. Greg is a great laminator and a good shaper. But I went in there to glass these boards, doing it the way I usually do it, with, you know, a little cocky. Yeah. He's like, look, you got to do it this way. You got to do this. You got to do this. And I was like, oh, okay. Like, you know, thinking I knew everything, when someone who's done it for longer than you, if you stop and listen, you can learn a lot.
Yeah.
So I thanked him later on. I was like, dude, you know, thanks for, you know, taking a few minutes and going over that with me, because I didn't know. You know, I'd been working by myself for 5 years, you know, talking to nobody about it, just doing it the way I did it.
Yeah. And no one complained, so you didn't move
exactly.
up. Yeah.
So I feel that made my glass jobs go to the next level.
Yeah.
And that's after working at Ricky's for years. I mean, I was, not that theirs are bad, it's just that we were doing it different. And I saw some things different that I could do different. And when I started my own place, it's like, I need to do it the best I can do it.
And now you have total control of the whole process, start to finish.
Oh, yeah. And I do a lot of different brands out of here. I think I glass like 15 different brands of boards. I mean, I don't shape and do everything to all of them.
Yeah.
But some of them I do. Some of them I just glass.
Yep.
But every board that comes out of here has my little label on the back of it, the 321 epoxy glassing.
Yep.
Just like if, you know, you get a board from California, it's got their little bear or whatever's on it.
Yeah.
Made in California. There's been a lot of boards.
Yeah. Yeah. And can you talk to me a little bit about how the space has changed? I know surfing has gone through some booms and crashes in the time that you've been in the industry. Can you kind of just talk to me about how you've seen the sport progress?
The 80s were crazy. There was tons of boards. They weren't very expensive. They were everywhere. And then we started sending them offshore in the late 80s, early 90s, and having them made over in Asia. Yeah. And they were being made for a lot cheaper. And at first, their quality was not good. Yeah. But then the Americans and the Australians started going over there and teaching them how to do it right. So now we're still competing with them a lot. That's the end result of 2 decades. Yeah. But at the same time, I still say buy an American board. Like I told a guy that wanted me to fix a board from one of those countries. And I was like, dude, just take it back to the factory that made it. Yeah. I mean, if you were to break my board, you brought it back, I'd help you fix it. If not, do it for free. Yeah. You know, depending on if it was user error or if it was a manufacturing flaw. I mean, I stand behind my work and I can look at it and tell if it was something I did. Yeah. And I have no problem fixing something. If I screw it up on a board, I will fix it, no cost, probably even buy you lunch. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, it's like that with all manufacturing in our country. And the people that open the door to all the imports and stuff, I don't want to get political or anything, but certain parties opened the door a little bit. The next party kicked it in and then let it all, and then all American manufacturing sort of left. Yeah. And we had that big wake-up call during COVID. Like, hey, supply chain shortage. Everything's made in China. Yeah. Or, excuse me, in Asia. Yeah. Thailand, too. It seems like a big one. Yeah. Exactly. Well, they're all in the same boat there. Yeah. Suddenly, we couldn't get boards again. And then the shops turned to the local guys like, hey, can you guys still make us boards? And we're like, yeah, we've been making boards the whole time. We never quit. Yeah. So we just ramped up production, went back to the numbers we used to do. Like some of the factories I worked in, we were doing 50 to 90 boards a week, every week. Wow. Personally here, I'm doing 6 to 10 a week.
Yeah.
So, but still, that adds up. When you do the numbers, like, wow, that's 300, 400, 500 boards there a year.
Yeah, that's a lot. Yeah.
So, yeah, with one person, that's really a lot. But I got a sander that comes and helps me. I've had a couple different guys. I've tried to train a bunch of people. A lot of people just can't do it. Some people can. They picked it up easily. And then other ones, just as much as you want them to work out, they couldn't. They just didn't have it.
Yeah.
They didn't have the touch. So, I mean, I got a great sander. He's also a shaper, and he does his own label, but he comes once a week, and he knocks out a bunch of boards. He's worked for as many people as I have, so I trust him.
Yeah. And,
he does a good job.
That's cool. Yeah. And you get a little company.
Oh, it's great having somebody here, because I talk to myself all week long. Like, even for just a little while, somebody's here. I'm like just stoked.
Yeah.
When I first moved here, I had a cat. I had a shop cat, but she got old and died. I thought it was a little kitten, but actually it was like a 20-year-old cat. So that was short-lived. I'm a cat person, if you hadn't gathered that from the name.
What, is that the origin of your cats? What you're telling me, or no? The origin is your childhood and your mom always had them or something?
No. The origin of the name Fat Cat Surfboards, which is my label I do now. In 99, I started 321 Surfboards.
Yep.
Because our area code here changed from 407 to 321.
Yep.
And I was like, man, that'd be a great surfboard name. So I used that up until, I think, around 2000 or so. And then one of my friends came in. He's like, dude, congratulations. I'm like, yeah, whatever. And he's like, yeah, I just saw about a dozen of your boards at Craig's shop. And I was like, I don't sell to Craig. So, of course, I drove down to a shop and went in, and there's these Asian boards that says Surfboards 321 on them.
Oh, no.
And I'm like, that's my name, but not my logo.
Yeah.
And I researched them and found out who they were, and it was an import company in Chino, California, who were importing them, and I sent them a cease and desist letter.
Yep.
And then I didn't see the boards for a year or two, and then these giant paddle boards were here with that same name on them.
Yep.
And I was like, that's it, fuck it, I'm pissed. So I'm changing my name. I don't want to fight this. I'm just going to change it.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there with my cat, and we just had some ice cream, and I looked over at Spence, is like, he's looking up at me, and I'm like, you're a fat-ass cat. I was like, you know what? We're going to be Fat Cat Surfboards.
I like that. Okay, good. I like that.
Stuck. And I still use that to today. I just printed some new labels.
It's a good one. You don't forget Fat Cat once you've heard Fat Cat Surfboards.
Yeah, and it's catchy, and I'm a cat guy. It kind of works out. It's funny, me and Yansy are both like cat people.
That's right. Yeah, I always see pictures of Yancy's beautiful, looks like a Siberian or something.
Beautiful cats, yeah. So when he's down here, he's like, oh man, your cats are so cool.
Yeah, it seems like you and Yancey have a pretty good relationship. Where did that start?
We do now.
Yeah, actually, yeah. Screw your good relationships. Tell me about when you guys used to fight. Yeah, tell me about that.
Well, we never really fought. We were just competing surf shops.
Okay, yeah.
But his dad was always super cool to me.
Okay, that's good to hear.
Well, I was working at Hudson's, and I quit. And I was like, middle of the day, and I'm surfing. He's like, hey, what are you doing out here? Aren't you at work? And I go, no, I just quit. He's like, oh, you quit? He's like, you want to go work at Interlight? And I'm like, no, I'm going to take a break. He's like, I can call JB. And I'm like, no, we're good.
That's funny. Got to keep your eyes on the talent.
I liked him, even though we were from different sides of the same thing. But as a person, I really liked him, and I always appreciated him. He's a great surfer. I mean, I remember surfing Amazons with him, and he's charging double overhead, these lefts, and like really seriously charging before he started getting older. I was like, man, that dude's, I want to surf like that when I get older.
Yeah.
That's like when I was 20 or however, 18 or, I grew up watching him and the older guys like you said, Mike Hayes and Brad Peterman and John Green and Mike D-Dog. God, there was so many older guys that I looked up to. I guess that's old school Pensacola there.
Yeah. And it's the current lineup, pretty much.
Yeah, some of the guys are still out there. Yeah. It's great.
It is. I feel like that was always one of my attractions to long-term surfing is you see these older surfers and you think, oh, I could do this for a while. That's cool.
It's one of those sports where you're out there and like you can see the best in the world at any given moment, any day.
Yeah.
I was living at 16th and I'm out there surfing and I see this guy paddle up. I'm like, hey, what's up, Todd? And it's Todd Holland. I mean, he's old school ASP pro, big time. And he's like, yeah, Kelly is coming out. So I brought all the surf school up here. We're going to all hang out. And so a minute later, Kelly paddles out. It's like, that's like living in Cocoa Beach. You never know what you're going to get.
Yeah, I bet. Especially for Cocoa Beach. Wait, that's where Kelly's from, right?
Yeah. I used to work with his brother, Sean.
No kidding.
So it's a small world.
I had to look up Tom Holland. Yep.
Todd Holland. He was a 2-time OP Pro winner. His career ender was, I think he did a backside floater at Pipeline.
Mm-hmm.
Like just charging. You don't do floaters at pipe barreling. Come on.
Yeah.
I think he threw his back out or something like that.
Oh, God.
That's actually ended a few people's careers. That's where Shea got messed up, too.
Shane.
No, Shea Lopez.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
More Gulf Coasters. When I lived in the Bay Area over there in Tampa, I met all those guys, Corey and Tommy Daniels, and I actually worked at an Ecstasies factory as a sander. I'd go in on the weekends and sand there. There's little hubs of industry all over our state. Yeah, and if you have a little bit of skill, somebody will put you to work if you want to work.
Yeah.
It's never a case of I can't find any work. It's like, do you want to work or not?
Yeah. How much work can you do?
So that kept me in the industry when I was over there with my ex in Tampa.
And soon to be ex that sucked you into away from Pensacola.
One of the times, yeah.
Yeah. One of the times. Yeah.
I've left Pensacola quite a few times, and I've come back, and now it's at the point where I've lived away from Pensacola longer than I ever lived there now that I'm older.
Yep.
I've been in Brevard County for 20-something years, nonstop. I think I moved back here in 99, 98.
Yeah.
Because I moved back home for a little while because my dad had a health scare. So I dropped everything and moved back up there. And then they just changed his prescription. His doctor did. And then suddenly he was well. And I was like, fuck it, I'm going back down there.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm going back where there's waves every day.
I would love maybe an overall reflection on maybe your time spent in the surf industry or...
It's been great. That's my biggest wrap up. I've done every job in the industry you could do. I've been a shop person. I've been a sales rep where I was on the road, repping my products and brands. I've done the manufacturing side of it, which I still do. And I think this is my favorite part of it is building the boards, the design, the hands-on, working with my team people. That's always the coolest part of it.
Yeah.
And if the surf gets really good, I can just lock the door and leave.
Yeah.
Put a note on the door back later.
Your board will be ready when it's ready.
Just don't answer your phone when you're at the beach.
Yeah. Oh, God. Or do.
I'm in my car and there's like 20 texts going, where are you at? I'm here to pick up my boards. And it's like, I'll be there soon.
I would hope surfers would be pretty kind about their shaper surfing.
You'd be surprised.
Yeah.
People get a little itchy. I'm like, dude, you're lucky you're getting the board in 2 to 4 weeks.
Yeah.
A couple years ago, it was 14 to 16 weeks.
Wow. Yeah, 2 to 4. That's a great turnover.
Yeah, I mean, if I got the blanket stock, I can knock the board out. It's easy.
Yeah, wow.
I can literally build a board in 2 days.
That's cool.
If I got all the equipment, or everything I need right there.
Yeah.
But I try to do it production-wise, where I draw it out, and it moves on. I glass 6 bottoms. The next day I glass 6 decks. Next day I 6 hot coats. It's like production.
Yeah. Yep.
Keeps it going at an even, continuous pace. It's been pretty good to me so far. I mean, there's been ups and downs, just like everybody else. I'm so stubborn and hard-headed. That's probably why I persevered when other people would have gave up.
Yeah.
But, that comes from my upbringing, family values and all that stuff they don't have these days.
Okay. Yeah. Which generation are we down on? Is it...
I am Gen X, so that tells you right there. Hey, thanks for listening to All Waves Considered. I've been your host, Keith Sims. It's been a blast.
My church is in the forest, my God is in the breeze. The lives that came before us whisper through the trees. The darkness veins my face in space, I sip the moonlit tea. My body home remembers grace, embodied unity. And again we're all in heaven and the earth is all I see. In parallel 11s, a wooden harmony. So go outside and meditate. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Go outside and meditate. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Go outside and meditate. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Go outside and meditate. Connectivity, my ears are drinking every sound. I feel infinity. My body sings. Ooh, breathe it in and how it flows with ease. The ant crawling over my legs, tickling my knees. I'm tickled, honored to be me, the me that lost itself in others so that I can be free. Gratitude, oh gratitude, this heaven we can be. Ooh, go on, breathe out, breathe in, breathe. Go outside and meditate. Oh, won't you go, won't you go, won't you go, won't you go outside and meditate. Whoa, whoa, I feel alive. Ooh, I feel alive. Ooh, I feel alive. So go outside and meditate. I hop awareness to a bird and take off to the sky and fly so free. I have no word, no picture to describe. It's all okay, it's all okay. My mind decides the truth. I choose to stay, I choose to play, revitalizing youth. My church is